We spoke around the same time on Friday morning. This is now, we are into Saturday morning. What is happening in Pathankot at this point? Was it active? Did people cite explosions last night too? Have there been certain portions or debris of attempts by Pakistan that have been neutralized that have also landed in Pathankot?
Well, yes, at least 25 to 30 explosions were heard by me, myself, and all these 30 explosions were actually of projectiles that were sent from the side of Pakistan, but all of them were actually neutralized by our air defense systems. Especially from 5 a.m. this morning, there were one after the other that were attacks that were launched from the side of Pakistan and that had landed over here. In fact, that were thwarted by our air defense system. Now, at the exact location at which I'm standing, this is the last village of international border over here in Pathankot. Right in front of you, what you are seeing is Pakistan. I'll try and show you a few posts of Pakistan over here. This village is a very important village because the manner in which there has been amplification that has been done from the side of Pakistan. There are reports of certain firings that might have happened, but this is the international border. Over the last few hours, this has remained absolutely calm. But yes, a few locals actually claim that late last night they saw a few projectiles being launched from here. These projectiles were actually neutralized by our air defense systems. I'll just try and get in a word from a few people. भैया आप यहाँ पर रह रहे हैं, किस तरह का माहौल है यहाँ पर? बिल्कुल पाकिस्तान सामने है आपके और काफ़ी अभी टेंशन बढ़ी हुई है।
माहौल तो सर अभी ख़राब ही चल रहा है, आपको भी पता है माहौल तो ख़राब ही चल रहा है। माहौल ऐसे अभी रात को तो कोई रहता नहीं इधर, जो लेडीज़ है जेंट्स है सब चले जाते हैं।
कुछ लोग तो रहते हैं गाँव,
कोई 10-15 जी रहते हैं।
कितनी आबादी है इस गाँव की?
इधर 450
450 आबादी है।
हाँ जी।
तो कैसा है, कभी वहाँ से कोई अटैक होने का?
अभी तक तो कोई नहीं हुआ सर, अभी तक इधर तो नहीं हुआ, बाहर होगा लेकिन इधर नहीं, सिंबल गाँव में नहीं हुआ। हाँ जी।
So, thank you for that. Let's also bring you up to speed a little past 8 o'clock in the morning. The big picture is that there has been a hot night between India and Pakistan. Pakistan clearly climbing up the escalation ladder. What you're seeing are visuals from different parts along the northern and western sectors. Jaisalmer, a massive projectile of some sorts. It looks like a missile of some form. And then in Lasjan in Srinagar, you're seeing visuals of what is likely remnants of a downed Pakistan jet, a Pakistan Air Force jet. So let's bring you up to speed with the headlines that we're seeing. First, in Lasjan in Srinagar, in the outskirts of the city, parts of a Pakistani jet have been found. The pictures of the wreckage have been accessed. You can see this was inside the residential compound of an individual. Headline number 2, India managing to intercept Pakistani drones. We can show that CCTV footage as well. This is on a Pakistani launch pad they were using on the other side of the international border in Jammu. Top defense sources saying that India has destroyed this Pakistani post that was trying to launch drones and of course the launch pads that have been used. The second image that you see is that of the destroyed drone. You can see the intercepts happening in the night sky, and then the second image, smoke and fire in the fields there. Headline number 3, part of a drone has been found in the fields of Amritsar. Amritsar bang on the border, just 60 kilometers between Amritsar and Lahore. So parts of a drone have been found in the rural parts of Amritsar in agricultural fields. You can see that as well. Headline number 4, a projectile from Pakistan has been found in Lasjan. This is, like I said, believed to be parts of a fighter jet of the Pakistan Air Force that was brought down in a dogfight over the skies of Srinagar. A bomb-like object has been found in Jaisalmer. This is in a place called Jamla village close to Pokhran. The Indian Army has neutralized the Pakistani projectile. It seems like parts of a missile. There's also that image of a much larger, almost 10 feet large projectile that's been captured there in Jaisalmer as well. So these are the various images that we have. We have Arunima Siddhant joining us. Siddhant, what's the international community saying? Has there been any response, any form of, wanting to calm down tempers, de-escalate the situation? It seems like both India and Pakistan are now locked in this escalatory phase, climbing the escalation ladder. Someone's got to come in and try and mediate and try and get both parties to back off, or are they saying, as Vance and Trump seem to be suggesting, that look, it's their problem, let them figure it out?
Well, yes, that's right, Zaka. In fact, international community is urging both sides to de-escalate. In fact, we have a fresh statement from G7 foreign ministers. Perhaps, first they condemned Pahalgam terror attack, then they urged both sides to de-escalate for the sake of regional peace and stability. In fact, Saudi Arabia is one country which is giving efforts for de-escalation. In fact, this offer had come from various countries for mediation and for giving for offering their good office for the mediation purpose between the two between India and Pakistan. But at this point in time, Zaka, you need a country which has leverage with both India and Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia seems to be the one. So this is a reason that in fact the special envoy of Saudi Arabia was in the national capital day before yesterday. In fact, he met Foreign Minister Jai Shankar. He in fact met Prime Minister Modi, though there was no photographs released of him meeting Prime Minister Modi. Then yesterday he was in Islamabad, and in fact Islamabad released those photographs of him meeting Shehbaz Sharif and Asim Munir. Perhaps we really know very little about what was conversation all about. In fact, when he was here also in the national capital, there was nothing which we got in terms of information from Ministry of External Affairs or any other government wing regarding the conversation. Perhaps was he carrying somebody's message? What is the position of Saudi government? Whether that was conveyed to the Indian government, etc., etc. So we know very little. And today Saudi Arabia has come up with a statement, Zaka, confirming that this envoy was sent on a surprise visit to both India and Pakistan, perhaps to give efforts to de-escalate tension. But it doesn't look like
an
that.
Unscheduled visit is the steer that we're getting. He's gone to both Islamabad as well as to New Delhi. First New Delhi and then Islamabad. Before I go to Anand, Aman is also joining us. Aman, what's the big picture? What are top government sources telling you? Because clearly things have escalated. This is the third night, the night between the 9th and 10th of May. It's the third night after Operation Sindoor. Clearly, we're now looking at an active conflict between India and Pakistan.
Well, absolutely, Zaka. As you correctly say, India, Pakistan both are on an escalatory ladder, and India is totally and squarely blaming Pakistan for what is happening. India is very clear, Zaka, that our attack, our retaliation was over with Operation Sindoor on May the 7th. It is since Pakistan, which is upping the escalation, first by sending drones across the border, attacking 36 targets from Leh to Sir Creek the previous night. And what has happened today early morning is a complete escalation, firing of ballistic missiles at India. This is something that India is saying will be responded in big measure. India has already responded today morning, and India is seeing a plot here, Zaka. India feels that Pakistan waited for the IMF bailout. Till then, the drones which came were all recce missions, intelligence gathering missions, trying to test our air defenses, maybe trying to exhaust our air defenses. But Pakistan has been caught by shock and surprise today morning when it launched its full attack soon after getting the IMF bailout. India also trying to now tell the world that, look, you have bailed out a country. IMF has given a bailout to a country which has launched ballistic missiles at India, which is exporting terror. So the world community also needs to, sit up and take note. What Pakistan has done today morning, soon after getting the IMF bailout, and this is what India told the IMF very, very strongly yesterday also by abstaining from the vote and lodging its strong protest, that a country which is fomenting terror against India, why is it being given bailout of one bailout after the other, nearly over 24 bailouts given to Pakistan over the last many years. India made that point on the world stage. India was not able to stop the bailout because of the way the IMF is structured. But today's strikes are completely escalating the matter. India is now saying the onus is on Pakistan to stop, to de-escalate. But if Pakistan does not stop, India is going to go to any lengths to protect its territory, to protect its military assets, to protect its civilian population. And that is why you've seen this morning, Zaka.
All right, thanks, Aman. Anand's here in our studios. That projectile that you showed from Jaisalmer, and I believe Anvit will also be joining us. We can go across to him. It's from a village part of the Pokhran, Jaisalmer, that belt. Can you show us that projectile, Anand? And there's a massive crater that's been left on the ground.
Well, these are updated images, Zaka. These are updated. Now, this is what, see, the serial numbers are also there. The UCP 213-15956. and the serial number is also put out. So there are more images coming through of the projectiles that were launched. This is confirmed proof that it is Pakistan that has launched ballistic missiles and also sending huge projectiles. Look at the impact which is there on the field. It's landed on a field and people are now, we'll go across to that side where the size of the projectile itself shows that this was a missile. This was not a smaller one, and it was not mounted on a drone or anything. This was a ballistic missile. This is the person who's walking us, and he's taking us to the place where the actual portion of it has landed. It has come through that area. That's what they are trying to show. See, there are other pieces also. There are more fractions and fragments that have fallen here. Look at this on the ground, and then he's pointing with now there are more. See, you see more smaller fragments that have gone in before we come and see the final big piece, that is that blue, dark blue, indigo blue kind of a missile. Now this is the actual color, or midnight blue or black. That's the color that that the missile actually has. Now he's showing the distance that this entire projectile, once it's crashed, it's gone and it's traveled. The fragments have traveled. See, there are more fragments here. There are more portions and more fragments here that we are seeing. There you go. This one again. Big pieces, big chunks which have landed. That's more than a foot and a half of the material or the external covering itself. And then this person is walking across to that particular projectile where he finds it. Now they say it is behind the bike. If you remember the first set of pictures, the bike was right there. Now there you go. We're going to freeze these pictures. They're going to walk, and that's where it is. So it's created a bit of a hole. It's created a bit of a trail as it comes there, and more people are now coming to see these pictures of this projectile. Now these are pictures from Udhampur. More pictures will be coming through. These are pictures from Udhampur that we've got. There are pictures from Jaisalmer that have come. The Jaisalmer first picture, now this is confirmation. This is an open field where this piece has landed. There is also a piece that's landed in a huge projectile that's landed in Sirsa. So clearly Pakistan upping the ante and sending these projectiles. The world needs to watch these. The world has to see the ballistic missiles that were launched by Pakistan soon after they got the arm. Look at the crater. Look at this gap. It's opened it wide out here, and something's landed here too. So that's what the people are saying, that it's come from the skies. The people are pointing it out. It came from the skies. It came from there, and it's landed here. So there are drones that have landed. There are missiles that have landed near Pokhran. In Jaisalmer, there are big drone chunks that landed, which show that they had huge markings and also that they had munitions loaded on it. So let's try and understand where all Pakistan, soon after the IMF bailout got a thumbs up for them, attacked Indian side on the western borders. Let's look at it. So they very actively targeted Udhampur. There is something that landed in Udhampur, but the Air Force station and the base there in Udhampur is safe. There is no damage done. They have attacked Jammu city vigorously, but right across here on Jammu, here on a park post, which was launching the tubes for drones, we have actually neutralized. There is Pathankot. Now, seriously, there has been some, at least 25, Anshul was there from the CNN News 18 overnight at Pathankot, and he said at least 25 explosions over the skies I've heard overnight, and Pathankot they've actively tried to target. There is also Sirsa. Now, the question is, Sirsa, where was this projectile aimed at? Was the Sirsa projectile intercepted, or this missile over the Sirsa skies intercepted while it was on its route to the national capital? Was it somewhere around Delhi? That's the big question. Did Pakistan, did Rawalpindi, did General Asim Munir and co. target the national capital soon after the IMF bailout? That's the big question because of this missile that was intercepted over Sirsa. Now, what have we done? Soon after this happens, around midnight, between 12 to 12:30 a.m., there is a counter that India launches. Now, India's counter is so fast, so swift, that they have had huge reversals. What did we target? India targeted, the Indian Armed Forces targeted Islamabad, Noor Khan base, the PAF Murid base, Narowal, Shekhupura, Lahore, the Rafiki Air Base, and the Sukur Airport in Sindh. All of them were targeted, and this is confirmed now that the base in Noor Khan Air Base in Rawalpindi has suffered serious reversals. There are actually reports that the Pakistanis, let's see if they confirm it, that their entire fleet of C-130s has been rendered ineffective here. They have suffered serious reversals. They couldn't operate their machines in Pindi. Then also the Narowal Air Base, again they couldn't operate their machines from here because the air base has been hit. It's been hit hard. And there is one more, which was one more airbase that's been hit in Chakwal, or let me just see that. Yeah, in Shorkot. So this airbase also has been hit, and of course projectiles have landed, and there's confirmation of landings that have happened in Lahore where certain installations have been hit, Zaka. So clearly India's reaction has been far more punitive, and it's hurt the Pakistanis than what they attempted. But this treachery, the international community must note that the moment they get the bailout, Zaka, look what they unleashed.
Absolutely, and I think Omar Abdullah has underlined that point as well, that it can't be that Pakistan is given this bailout after bailout after bailout, and then some of those monies are diverted into directing terror and active aggression against India. I also want to get a quick word in from Anvit, who's in Jaisalmer, where we saw that massive image. It was a 10 feet long projectile, a rocket of some form. Anvit, if you're there, which part of Jaisalmer is it? It seemed like rural desert. What are the locals telling you? I mean, when did this land? How did they end up finding it? And I presume that either the army or the police would have taken away these wreckage, this remnants.
Yes, Zaka, the piece that has fallen has fallen in Pokhran. We were attempting to go towards the border, international border ahead of Jaisalmer. We were stopped in, ahead of Tanot. We were stopped in Ramgarh. Ramgarh stands to be the last village beyond which civilian movement is not allowed. Media is also not allowed. Army has taken over, and the BSF posts. From there, all the vehicles are being ridden. You can see this road is completely blocked. We are ahead of Jaisalmer in Ramgarh right now. In this area, last night, a huge shelling was witnessed, and many drones were also witnessed. Witnesses have said that many bombs were dropped, and some portions of drones that were intercepted by India have also fallen in this area. Yesterday we had shown how in Kishan Ghat one such piece was in a controlled detonation by the military. It was taken away. We have one witness who had witnessed huge amount of drone crashing in this area. Sir, आप यहीं रहते हैं?
जी, हम रामगढ़ रहते हैं।
यहाँ पे परसों काफी ड्रोन शेलिंग्स वगैरह हुई थी।
देखिए, यहाँ परसों रात को पाकिस्तान की तरफ से कुछ ड्रोन आए, तो हमारी सेना ने उसको तुरंत ही उसको
यहाँ पे भी कुछ ड्रोन के
थोड़ा सा यहाँ पास कुछ गिरा था, वो फिर उसको पुलिस और सेना ने उसको ले लिया। तो देखिए, यहाँ सेना हमारी पूरी मुस्तैद से तैयार है, और उसके साथ साथ माते श्री तनोटा घंटियालिया वो भी तैयार है। जब 1971 में लड़ाई हुआ था, तो माते श्री तनोटा ऐसे कोई भी बम फटा नहीं, कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ, अभी भी वैसा ही है, कोई भय वगैरह डर की कोई ऐसा नहीं है।
So basically, in this area, a lot of bombs and portions of drones that have fallen, that were intercepted, have fallen, and the army had been collecting all of those with the local police. Yesterday also forensic teams were there in Kishan Ghat as well as in Ramgarh area, and further from here in Tanot as well. All the pieces have been gathered. They've been sent for examination to find out what is the origin, and also to find out what could have been the implication if they had exploded.
We'll leave it at that. I want to go to this piece of breaking news that MEA briefing has now been confirmed at 10:30 a.m. That is what we are given to understand. This is on Operation Sindoor. Remember, for the last 3 days, it's the Foreign Secretary who's been briefing the contingent of the media. So it will likely be a joint briefing of the MEA as well as officials from the Ministry of Defence. Last 2 days, it was the young women officers from the Indian Air Force and the Indian Army, Wing Commander Singh and Colonel Qureshi. Both of them are also expected to be flanking the Foreign Secretary. But it has been a serious escalation overnight between the 9th and 10th, the night between the 9th and 10th of May. Pakistan, immediately after the announcement of the IMF bailout, has upped the ante in an attempt to try and take out some of the forward air bases of the Indian Air Force. They've targeted the Udhampur Air Force Station. They've targeted Udhampur, of course, is the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Army Command. Also tried to hit the Jammu Air Force Station, Patan, which is our biggest forward air base. It has some of the squadrons of our 4.5 generation fighter jets. Also over the Sirsa Air Force Station. So multiple Air Force stations the Pakistanis tried to take out overnight. And this is the first sort of rung in the escalation ladder where two states or two armies, two air forces that are trying to take out each other's air force stations, because if the enemy cannot scramble his jets, then that is a serious tactical advantage that you have at the starting of any conflict. Siddhant is now joining us with further details. So the MEA briefing at 10:30 a.m., is it just going to be the Foreign Secretary, or is it going to follow the same pattern that we saw the last couple of days, Siddhant, the two young Army and Air Force officers also flanking the Foreign Secretary?
Well, so far, Zaka, we have a very limited details, but perhaps it could be the same format. What we have been seeing in last three press briefings of Operation Sindoor. In fact, we just got the confirmation from the government that at 10:30 there's going to be the press briefing, the joint press briefing of Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Defence. Perhaps there was a briefing which was scheduled early in the morning at around 5:45 a.m. Zaka. That briefing got postponed because the operations were going on. The focus was in the skies, and it was decided to postpone it to 10 a.m. And now we are getting to know that finally, Ministry of External Affairs has announced that there's going to be the joint press conference between Foreign Ministry and Defence Ministry at around 10:30. But this would be the first time that when Indian government will put its record straight as far as the developments which have taken place in last 12 hours, Zaka. Both sides are climbing the escalatory ladder. Perhaps Indian side has taken down the Pak air bases. In fact, Pakistan has attempted to target key Indian military installations. In fact, fatah-ii missiles have also been used by Pakistan. The attempt to target Sirsa was thwarted by the Indian forces. So,
okay, Siddharth, we're going to come to you as and when that briefing
also
begins. I want to bring you up to speed. If you're joining us at 8:30 this Saturday morning, these are the 5 or 6 big headlines that you need to know. It's been a hot night between India and Pakistan. Multiple locations targeted by Pakistan here in India, and India giving it back in kind. Headline number 1, in Srinagar, in the outskirts, in a place called Lasjan, parts of a Pakistani Air Force jet, wreckage of a Pakistani Air Force jet have been found. These are the pictures of that in the Lasjan area. It's landed, thankfully, in the backyard of a residential complex, and therefore no one has been hurt or injured in the process. Headline number 2, India manages to intercept Pakistani drones. This is from the other side of the Jammu border, on the other side of the international border in Jammu, a place called Narwal. We're given to understand. You can see 2 sets of pictures. One, the intercepts happening on the background of the night sky. These are CCTV images. The intercepts happening in the middle of the sky. And the second set of images are the wreckage. There you go. The smoke and fire out in the fields of Jammu. You can see that happening. That's headline number 2. Headline number 3, we're given to understand a part of a drone. This is wreckage that's been found in the fields of Amritsar. Amritsar over the last couple of nights has been hot. There's been a lot of activity, drone activity. This again seems to be the wreckage of a drone. Yesterday, India did the unprecedented step of calling out Turkey and saying Turkish-made drones were being used by Pakistan on probing missions, on exploratory missions to try and test India's air defenses. Headline number 4, a Pakistani projectile has been found in Lasjan. Like I said, this is believed to be parts or remnants of a downed F-16. There's also confirmation of a dogfight that happened over the skies of Srinagar. 5 missiles, we're given to understand, were fired from the Srinagar military base and then believed to have brought down what is believed to be a Pakistan Air Force jet, the make of which we don't know. Hopefully, we will get some confirmation of that from the Foreign Secretary's briefing in about a couple of hours' time. Headline number 5, a massive bomb-like object. It's about 10 to 12 feet long. It's huge. It's been found in a place called Jamla. It's a village in Pokhran, in the wider Jaisalmer region of Pakistan, of Rajasthan. That, of course, you can see the second image, which shows that massive, almost 10-12 feet long rocket-like projectile that's been landed there, that's been neutralized there. The Indian Army has neutralized this missile attack in the sky. So this is headline number 5. Headline number 6, Pakistan also targeting civilian areas. In Jammu, there have been, unfortunately, 5 deaths, 5 civilians who have died. In Rajouri, a district collector level officer has also passed away. Unfortunately, his house was the target of heavy shelling. There's been heavy artillery shelling, both on the line of control as well as on the international border. Pakistani projectiles also hitting a temple, a famous temple in Jammu called the Shambhu Temple. Headline number 7, damaged parts of a drone or something like a drone has been found in Udhampur. This is in the Narsu part of Udhampur district. We don't know further details, but it seems like wreckage from a drone yesterday. Udhampur, of course, is the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Command, and the attempt there was to try and target the Northern Command headquarters as well. security forces have reached the spot. I also want to show that Shambhu temple picture. Again, this is wreckage from a projectile of some sort at the Shambhu temple, a very famous temple in Jammu. Thankfully, again, it landed in the outer perimeter of the temple complex, and therefore there's been no injuries or no one has been hurt. That, of course, again, a famous temple in Jammu. So clearly, the activities have increased between both India and Pakistan in the intervening night between the 9th and 10th of May. Akash is joining us from Jammu, where multiple attempts have happened in civilian pockets as well as the Air Force station, but all of it has been thwarted. Akash, what is the latest that you're hearing from top defense sources?
Right, Zaka, I'm standing in this Rehari colony. First of all, I'll try to give you a sense of what has happened here. There you have forensic teams and, in fact, the police here. This is one civilian property that has got damaged because of the sort of attacks that we have seen in the morning today. And there I am being given this sort of, this is something, a part of possibly a drone or the missile or the projectile that came here. And there you have. There you see, these are the individuals who have handed over this thing to me, and they are saying that this was a part of the sort of damage and, in fact, the projectile that came here. I have been told that many people who were, here in the house got injured. I'll try to talk to them as well as to what actually happened. But before that, I'll try to give you a sense as to what actually happened. There you have the top floor of the house that has got damaged. Multiple cars that have been standing here, in fact, have got the damage. There you have in the close vicinity around 50-meter area, is damaged. We still not, don't know as to if it was a drone or missile. But I'll try to, in fact, talk to the individuals as well. I'll try to talk to them. सर क्या हुआ था यहाँ पे और कितने बजे हुआ बता पाएंगे आप अभी आए हैं यहाँ का कोई है क्या हुआ है यहाँ पर
मिसाइल वगैरह वो रेड नीचे गिरी है छत पे
कितने लोग रहते हैं इस घर में
यहाँ पे ऊपर 4 रहते हैं सेकंड फ्लोर में भी 4 रहते हैं नीचे 6 रहते हैं
तो वो ठीक है अभी
हाँ जी
उनको कोई चोट वगैरह लगी उनको चोट वगैरह नहीं लगी अभी ये फॉरेंसिक्स वगैरह टीम कितने बजे हुआ लगभग कितने बजे कहा
ये 5:50 पे
सुबह 5:50 पे तो किसने देखा कोई मिसाइल वगैरह थी या ड्रोन वगैरह था क्योंकि
लोग सोए हुए थे अचानक से आवाज आई सभी उठे
जम्मू मेडिकल कॉलेज पास में है हमें बोला जा रहा है कि शायद वहाँ पे टारगेट था कुछ ऐसा कुछ बताया यहाँ पे जो एजेंसीज काम कर रही हैं Alright, Zaka, forensics teams are here. Once again, I'll try to give you the visuals of this particular house. This is the house, that has in fact got the damage. I'll show you the, in fact, visuals of the, workers who have been in fact there, the police, Jammu Kashmir police, and also the civil defense staff. Forensics teams are basically checking, the sort of damage and in fact the sort of thing, the projectile that was used. But it is unfortunate that civilian properties are being targeted. Either, it is a failure or it is intentionally being done. In both the cases, Pakistan is exposed because they have been saying that they don't want to escalate. But in this particular case, we have been seeing that how they have been launching attacks. And since last night, late in the evening, we have seen that starting from Jammu, they have been targeting many properties. We have seen the Firozpur area as well, where civilian property was targeted. And here in Jammu as well, we have this civilian property that was on target and in fact that has received sort of damage. Zaka.
All right, Akash, we'll come back to you in just a bit, but we're getting this piece of breaking news. Reuters is reporting, and we want to be very, very responsible and restrained in our reporting. Pakistani Prime Minister, and we can, it's flashing on your screen at the bottom half as well. The Pakistani Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, has called a meeting of the National Command Authority. It is the authority that has overseen the nuclear powers or the nuclear command authority of the Pakistani military. He has called for a meeting of the National Command Authority today on Saturday. The Pakistani military has confirmed this to Reuters after Islamabad launched a major military operation against India in the night between 9th and 10th. The National Command Authority is the top body for civilian as well as military officials that take serious security decisions, including those related to the nuclear arsenal of Pakistan. This could be saber-rattling. I don't think we should fall for this propaganda, but clearly the Pakistanis seem to be ratcheting up. Last night, they're escalating it, going a couple of notches up the escalation ladder. India forced to respond, to retaliate to that. Now, some nuclear saber-rattling as well by the Pakistani Prime Minister. He's called for a meeting of the National Command Authority, which will have the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, the Defense Minister, and of course the heads of the armed forces as well, the Chief of Army Staff, Navy and Air Force Staff. Let me go across to Aman Sharma, our political editor. He's joining us live from outside South Block. As we expect that press conference by the Foreign Secretary as well as the individuals, the officers of the Army and the Navy. What's the reading in South Block, Aman? What is the big picture? Because this is a serious escalation that Pakistan has tried in the last 6-7 hours or so.
Well, Zaka, what I'm hearing right now is that top government sources are slamming the IMF bailout to Pakistan last evening. They are clearly saying what has happened since today morning underlines India's objections yesterday to IMF of the possibility of the misuse of the debt financing funds for state-sponsored cross-border strikes, terrorism by Pakistan. India is underlining this again, saying that the IMF bailout was completely mistimed and Pakistan actually was waiting for this money to start its big operation against India. India sources are saying that with billions in the bank, Pakistan is now putting missiles in the air against India. The world community needs to realize this, wake up to it, and what it has done by arming Pakistan again and again with these IMF funds. So I think at this press conference, which we will see at 10:30 a.m., India could raise this point that this IMF bailout is ending up arming Pakistan against India, and especially its terrorist activity and the escalatory ladder that Pakistan is on. See, Zaka, government sources are very, very clear that the original escalation is of April 22nd, with the Pahalgam attack which Pakistan did. India did its offensive on May 7th, 96 hours ago, by doing Operation Sindoor, but only targeting terrorist infrastructure of Pakistan, not targeting any military infrastructure, not targeting the civilian population. The targeting of the military infrastructure, that cycle, Zaka, Indian government sources are saying, has been started by Pakistan. On the morning of May 8th, we saw the first these 300 to 400 drones trying to attack our front air bases, and today morning, with missiles, Pakistan is trying to take out our multiple air bases, Pathankot, Udhampur. All these attacks have been foiled, but Pakistan intention is very clear to take up this escalatory ladder, and they stopped till the IMF payout. They didn't do it. It was more an intel exercise, this drone which were flown. But now this is the ultimate attack by Pakistan, and India is responding very, very strongly. India has decided that if you will target our military infrastructure, we will take out your military infrastructure as well. And India has targeted Rawalpindi's airbase. This is deep inside Pakistan, Zaka, and this is a big, big message to Pakistan that if Pakistan does not stop here, India will go to any lengths to teach Pakistan a firm lesson. We'll hear more about it at the 10:30 briefing. I think I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think Indian government is very, very upset over this IMF bailout, and is very clearly saying that Pakistan is to blame for this escalation ladder that we are on.
And just very quickly, there was some note or some justification of why India abstained at the IMF meeting yesterday. What's the rationale? What's the reasoning behind that?
Zaka, the government says that basically there is no option to say a no to a vote. You can either abstain or say yes. That has been the convention at the IMF, and IMF has many member countries, but every member country is not like one member, one vote. Your economic strength actually has a larger proportion in the vote there. So there are many questions being asked, Zaka, here also, that, why did the US not come out strongly to block this bailout for the IMF for Pakistan? So a lot of questions are being asked in the Indian security establishment, because India yesterday put up a very, very strong objection to this IMF bailout. India was also preparing for it for the last 2 to 3 days, knowing very well that if Pakistan gets this money, it could, the escalation in fact could climb, and India's fears are only coming true. The world community needs to sit up and realize that, what it has done yesterday, and I think India is going to strongly protest about this at the press conference as well, I believe.
All right, Aman, thanks for that. We'll come back to you at the 10 o'clock press conference, 10:30 press conference. Now, Anand, you have the images of the intercept of the ballistic missile?
This is over the Sirsa skies and what looks to be a portion of the Fateh missile. So this is from Sirsa. It's landed on a field. It was intercepted on the skies of Sirsa. I'm going to check with our team if we can put out the map and also the visuals. We can split it on this wall so that our viewers can understand the map graphics and with these visuals, because it's landed on Sirsa. And why this Sirsa is important? Because this Fateh missile, this ballistic missile, many believe was intended towards the national capital. It was intended towards Delhi. We'll try and show you these visuals and then try and split it here on this wall itself with the map graphics and these pictures, because then you can understand where this is. So if you can just pull this out, put this out, and just the map, because where Sirsa is, we need to understand where Sirsa is. Sirsa and the trajectory of the missile, many believe, was headed towards the national capital. And this is the big portion. This is the big portion. This is the big portion of the back end of the Fateh missile. So you'll see the tail, and that's the tail portion of the Fateh missile. Now you see these are authorities who are already there. The local police is already there, cordoning off, and now they're taking them away. It's being carted away. The portions have been now lifted, put on the back of a big vehicle, a pickup truck, and then they'll be carted. This is the big shot. Now this is the picture. Now look at this. This is the Fateh missile back end. Now if you have seen pictures of Pakistan flaunting the Fateh missile, the rear end of this portion with the wings and this is exactly similar to the design of the Fateh missile, and that's the reason why the ballistic missile launched towards the national capital. That is the level of escalation that Pakistan has triggered. Pakistan has triggered soon after the IMF bailout. So within 15 minutes of the IMF bailout at 12:05 a.m., that's when this was first reported or registered, that the possibility of ballistic missiles being fired towards Bharat. And later in the night, the confirmation coming, this has landed, it's been intercepted. So our air defense systems, the Indian forces air defense systems, are capable of thwarting even ballistic missiles. This is the biggest proof of it, and perhaps egg on the face of the Pakistanis at multiple levels. But more importantly, how treacherous Pakistan can be. This missile has landed on a field in Haryana, in Sirsa, and this is where it is. Now have a look at this. This is Sirsa. This is where this missile has landed. Look at the trajectory. Where is the national capital? The trajectory of this missile was towards the national capital. That's what many people are expecting this. We are going to wait for confirmation during the media briefing that this missile, these are portions of the missile. Again, more pictures coming through, more small fragments that after this entire missile was disintegrated, it was demolished, it was intercepted, and fragments have landed all across in Sirsa, in Haryana. And understand this, Sirsa, this is the range, this was the direction. This is the national capital region. So that's the reason why this big question is being asked. Was this ballistic missile, along with a few others that were fired by the Pakistanis, intended not just as military installations, but also perhaps certain portions of the national capital? And if that is something which is confirmed, if it is confirmed in the briefing today, that is serious escalation by the Pakistanis. And more importantly, this has come after the IMF bailout, where they tried to play with a begging bowl saying, help us out. $137 billion overextension of their debt to the world, and they continue to borrow and redirect this money towards acts of war. Clear acts of war, clear acts of military escalation by Pakistan, when Bharat's fight has been only against terror. It was a war on terror, not a war against Pakistan, but the Pak military, the Pak state is backing jihadis, terrorists, jihadi tanzeems, and this is what they are willing to launch ballistic missiles because Bharat has waged a war on terror. Zaka.
A massive escalation, no doubt about it. You had, these swarms of drones, unarmed drones, no explosives there. Then you had explosive-laden drones. Then you had these short-range missiles, and now you have the ballistic missile. This is a medium-range Fatah-ii missile, a range of about 400 kilometers, directed en route to Delhi, and it was intercepted in the skies over Haryana. And those pictures that Anand was showing, quite dramatic, that the manner in which it's been intercepted as well. Of course, India's air defense systems working round the clock into the T. Let me go across to Arun Danta and Arunima, both of whom are joining us. So what's the word in Delhi this Saturday morning, Arun Danta? Clearly, the government is closely following all of these developments. It's been a very hot night. Escalation by Pakistan, India responding for good measure. What is the reading in government this Saturday morning?
That's right, Zaka. Yesterday that was the reason why you saw those, long meetings taking place here. Prime Minister Modi chaired 3-4 important meetings. In fact, the last meeting concluded somewhere around 12 with the Foreign Secretary and the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. And we were told that, in fact, the RAW Chief and NSA Ajit Doval, IB Chief, they all were present in that meeting. Before that, of course, we saw that the review meeting conducted by Prime Minister Modi with Rajnath Singh, three Tri-Services Chief, NSA, in fact, RAW Chief and IB Chief were present in that. And also before that there was a meeting with the veterans and the former chiefs of different forces of the country, and in fact they were of course expecting some sort of misadventure by Pakistan yesterday night, and that's the reason why we saw that India was in fact ready for any sort of action. That's the reason why we saw that how Indian forces have retaliated to Pakistan's drones or the ballistic missiles which they fired. And of course we know that Prime Minister Modi is very closely monitoring the situation. It's been 4-5 days since when we are given to understand that Prime Minister Modi has been awake during the night, has been constantly in touch with the NSA Ajit Doval. At this point I'm outside the residence of Prime Minister Modi. It seems calm at this point, but perhaps the way action is taking place, you will see flurry of meetings.
I think there will be meetings in the next few hours. Thanks for that, Arun. We'll be in touch with you. Arunima is also joining us, but we got this breaking news. The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, let's go to that breaking news. Marco Rubio has now spoken directly to the Pakistan Chief of Army Staff, General Asim Munir. This happened just a few hours ago. This is the first conversation that any international official has had directly with the Pakistani Army Chief. Remember, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia was in Islamabad just last night. He was part of that meeting that was hosted by the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. But this direct call between Marco Rubio and the Chief of Army Staff, General Munir, is an important one. It's the first conversation that an international official has had with General Munir. We'll try and get Siddhant. Siddhant is on the phone line. So Rubio has spoken with the Pakistani NSA, who's also the DGISI, General Malik. But now a direct conversation with General Munir, who, of course, the ball is really in his court. If he stops, then India will stop.
But yes, that's the message. That's exactly the message, Zaka. And in fact, last time around, Marco Rubio spoke to Shehbaz Sharif. But perhaps Marco Rubio also must have realized that Shehbaz Sharif is ineffective and he's just a puppet prime minister. And this is the reason that he is speaking to the real boss of Pakistan, perhaps the mastermind of Pahalgam terror attack, Asim Munir. And in fact, Reuters is reporting, Zaka, that this conversation has taken place. And as we were speaking before also, that US wants both sides to de-escalate. In fact, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt also said that President wants both sides to de-escalate. Perhaps US is also giving efforts in the same direction. This is the second telephonic conversation that Marco Rubio had with the Pakistani side. In fact, last time he spoke to Shehbaz Sharif, that call was really ineffective. Nothing happened after that. So today he decided to speak directly to Asim Munir, the Army General. Perhaps it also reflects upon, and perhaps it's once again established that, who runs the show in Pakistan. And if US wants Pakistan to de-escalate, then US has to speak directly to the Army General, not somebody from the political.
We've got an update from the ADG PI of the Indian Army as well. We'll go to Arunima with this. Basically, the ADG PI putting out a tweet saying Pakistan's blatant escalation with drone strikes and other munitions continues along our western borders. In one such incident today, approximately around 5 a.m., multiple enemy drones were spotted flying over the Khasa Cant, the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar. The hostile drones were instantly engaged and destroyed by our air defense units. So now we're getting to hear of multiple such drone and missile attacks. Arunima, you're in North Block, South Block. Whereabouts are you, and what is the word from government this morning?
Yes, so the Raisina Hills is abuzz with activities. South Block has had called for a press conference at about 5:30, but I think this is the air operation which led them to postponement. And now at 10:30, the Foreign Secretary is likely to brief. What ADGPI has put out is that at about 5 a.m. this morning, there were multiple enemy armed drones that were spotted over the Khasa Cant in Amritsar. The hostile drones were instantly engaged and destroyed. And Pakistan's blatant attempt to violate India's sovereignty and endanger civilians' life is unacceptable. 3 civilians have been killed in what has happened since last night, including one district level official there in Rajouri. And what the Border Security Force has also put out is that while the Jammu Air Base was getting targeted around 9 p.m., 2100 hours last night, there was intense firing at the Jammu stretch of the international border as well. So back to back 2 days now, we've seen, day before yesterday we saw it in Samba, yesterday at Jammu, attempts to also carry out infiltration while these air raids are going on. Yesterday they had shot dead 7 from the Jaish-e-Mohammed module in Samba. Yesterday also BSF confirming that there was firing at the Jammu sector, and now ADGPI confirming that there were hostile drones over Amritsar as early as this morning 5 a.m. Around the same time, tentatively we were told there was a dogfight in Srinagar, and for that we're still waiting for the ADGPI and for the Air Command to tell us exactly what is the situation. But definitely things have escalated in the last 24 hours.
All right, I also want to go across to Akash Sharma, who is more on this. So the Army's first official statement this morning, the ADGPI saying there's some hostile drones, a swarm of drones over the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar, and those have been neutralized. Akash, what more are you hearing?
Right. So first of all, two important things in this tweet by the ADGPI. First one, that they are somewhere acknowledging the attack launched towards Amritsar today in the morning that we had also reported, Zaka. And second, that they are saying the message is loud and clear that it cannot be accepted. Armed forces are in fact reacting since morning, and we have been learning, as Arunima pointed out, the dogfight, of course, the air defense, thwarting the attempts and destroying the enemy drones, and also Indian Army destroying the enemy posts. So a number of things are happening, but civilians are somewhere affected, Zaka. I have been mentioning this since morning, that while they are targeting the military infrastructure, they are also possibly targeting and intentionally targeting, civilian properties, and this is the reason why we have the damages like such that I am showing you in the visuals in the backdrop. Zaka, Indian Army and in fact Indian Armed Forces are going to brief us officially in some time from now, where we'll get to know as to what was the sort of action that was taken last night in retaliation. Of course, we know that how their air defense systems at different Air Force stations in Pakistan were targeted and in fact destroyed. But as far as other information is concerned and other inputs are concerned, so we are waiting for that particular brief. I'll once again try to show you the visuals there. There you can see the damage. Zaka, it was it is not in fact confirmed as to what it was. I'm showing you those broken glasses of that particular window there. People are also talking about some sort of projectile and then these splinters. So possibly it can be a kamikaze drone that hit the building and then got destroyed. So we are waiting for the confirmation. Okay. But looking at the damage, it seems so there you have the main target was that building. Rajesh ji, if you can show that building was the main target, Zaka, and then okay, I believe CM is there. Yes, CM is there, and I'll try to.
All right, we'll come back to you, Akash, in a moment as you try to go across and see if we can get a soundbite from Omar Abdullah. But the ADGPI's tweet showing these pictures as well. Those are the remnants of the Pakistani drone that was sighted above the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar. Arunima is also there with us. I can see some wheels. I'm not sure what the wheels are. Clearly, it seems to have hit something on the ground. Those are the remnants, the wreckage that you can see from the drones that were sent over the Amritsar cantonment. Arunima, what more do we know?
See, there's also a video that has been tweeted out by the ADGPI handle. I think it is showing how the drone attack, the hostile drone attack, was taken down, and these pictures, gives you a sense of the marking that you see. YHAPFWH. The filling date is mentioned there. The filled lot is mentioned. The explosive lot, the weight, the total. So this looks like an ammunition that was being carried with the drone that the ADGPI has tweeted out. The ammunition and the remains of the drones, and also the time when the drone was intercepted. So there's visual proof, there's video evidence that is now being given out, and this is a trend that we have seen ever since Operation Sindoor has begun. And top government sources, government functionaries actually confirmed this to me, that after Balakot and after the surgical strike post Uri, there was a lot of question mark. Pakistan tried to negate the surgical strike by saying that nothing has happened really here. But this time India has gone prepared with technological advancement. Also, it is better prepared. It's putting out evidence to show Pakistan's complicity. All these labeling on the ammunition, the filling date, the batch number, the lot number is going to be shown to the international community to prove that Pakistan's escalation, and Pakistan is trying to target civilians, target our military base, escalate the entire situation. And Pakistan is definitely suffering a bloody nose by the way their misadventure is being countered by our air defense system.
All right, Arnab, we'll come back to you. That's the Indian Army statement. On the left, you're seeing images from Rehari in Jammu, where the Chief Minister, I believe, has gone to the residence of the affected victim there. I believe Akash is there for us. Akash, tell us, did Omar Abdullah say anything as he came into this in this house that's been hit yesterday by a Pakistani projectile? Did he say anything to the media, or are we waiting for him to come back and then speak to the media?
Not yet, Zaka. He has gone, upstairs to check the sort of damage that this property has received. Possibly he'll be, coming back and will be speaking to media. But this is important, given the fact that civilian properties are being targeted, and we have, received this sort of damage where not just this property but the adjacent properties are also damaged. In fact, the vehicles that are standing on this particular road, Rajesh will show you the visual. In fact, have got damaged. We have these security officials who have been trying, who have been in fact trying to get the people away from this particular place. But then Omar Abdullah is very much here. In fact, he is expected to speak to media in some time from now. People are standing here. Locals are standing here. They have been in fact saying since morning that they need some sort of action. Pakistan should be there should be some sort of retaliation, and there should be some sort of answer to Pakistan. I was speaking to one lady. She was crying. She's saying that this is her house and she could have lost her life in this particular attack. But at this point in time, I'm showing you the visuals where CM has gone upstairs to check the sort of damage that this property has received, Zaka. And there you have civil defense volunteers, the Jammu Kashmir police, and also the CRP. In some time from now, it is expected that Omar Abdullah will be speaking to media. But yes, at least 10 people we have been told have sustained injuries in this particular attack in this vicinity, Zaka.
All right, Akash, thanks for that. Anand is also here as we try and bring you some pictures. There's been a whole bunch of pictures of remnants of drones, projectiles, missiles that have been spotted in different parts from Jammu to Jaisalmer. This is the picture of the home in Rehari. But Anand, this is what the ADGPI has just tweeted. This seems to be the wreckage of a drone over Amritsar cantonment.
See, not just the drone. Look at the size of the drone. These are not the small drones anymore. These are far bigger now, and they have these markings. So the ADGPI has also figured out the markings, and of course they had munition. They had a certain level of payload which was supposed to be for impact. So clearly the Pakistanis over the last 2 or 3 days have been sending drones without any munition as probing, and this is exactly what there was a preparedness, there was an understanding what the Pakistanis are trying to do, but they underestimated Bharat's capabilities. They thought that over 2 days the entire air defense system would have been used up and there would be a free passage for their missiles and for their drones with a huge amount of payload and munitions. So that is something that's been marked out, but they've been neutralized. They've been neutralized by our air defense systems, and perhaps the Pakistanis don't understand. They have a stomach for escalation only for 3 days. They cannot fight an intense war for more than 3 or 4 days. That's the reality. Bharat is ready for 6 months. Bharat is ready for 6 months, and if required more. That's the difference. So they don't know who they are taking panga with, and the fact is that this is egg on the face again for 4 nights in a row for General Asim Munir. 4 nights in a row, he's just met with more failures, and on the other hand, look at the losses. The Noor Khan airbase in Pindi has not just been destroyed, but there is a huge reversal for the Pakistanis there. Their machines can't take off because they have been rendered ineffective across 3 air bases. That's what's happened. But here, this time around, the locals need to be aware. Our hearts go and our prayers with those who are having material loss of, because of their houses and their fields being damaged, and also because of people who are getting injured or loss of lives of civilians. But please don't go close to any of these munitions. That's the important part. Stay away, stay clear, because some of these may be live munitions.
So
yes, Zaka.
We're getting live pictures of Omar Abdullah just coming out from that house in Rehari. I believe he's speaking to the media. If we can go to those pictures. Omar Abdullah has gone to an affected home in Rehari in Jammu. Can we show those pictures, please? Yeah, there you go. That's the affected home. He's just come out. He's, I think, met with the individuals there. In Rajouri also, one district collector officer district collector rank officer has lost his life. In all, 5 people have lost, 5 civilians have lost their life in Jammu. Akash is there. Akash, Omar still inside the house. Is he making his way out? Has he said anything to the media yet?
Zaka, I cannot hear you. Omar Abdullah is still, assessing the situation. In fact, is taking a stock of the situation. In fact, he has gone inside the second house where the lady, who owns this house has gone, in fact, inside and is somewhere briefing the chief minister as to what actually happened, at what time, and what was the intensity. And then there he is coming out. Possibly, we'll try to speak to him as well as to now when civilians are targeted and their properties are targeted. What is All right. So, has in fact gone to some third property now, and in some now he is expected to speak to media. But then at this point in time, this is very important. There is a series, in fact, of houses, in fact, which have in fact received this sort of damage, where we have been told that there was possibly a drone that hit the building and then got exploded, and because of those splinters, we have the nearby properties, also got damaged. And in fact, the vehicles that are standing here, you can see the debris there on this particular car, and a lot of people are standing here at this point in time, and they are very furious because of the fact that they have been saying that we are seeing these actions on a daily basis now, and now some sort of strong retaliation should be there from the Indian Armed Forces.
I'll come back to you, Akash, as and when the Chief Minister comes out. He's visiting multiple houses which have been affected in Rehari. Yes, Anand, you were showing us the ADGPI the tweet
yes,
and the video.
Let's go back to the pictures. The fact is that we'll go back to now. This has payload. Now, the only thing for our viewers and whoever are there in these local areas have to be that if there are fragments, portions that fall of debris or destroyed missiles, etc., or drones, just stay clear of them. Don't go and touch any of these parts, because a lot of them seem to have live munitions. The ADGPI has actually circled out, and this is live payload. So with the aim, with the intent to destroy, destruct and hurt, and it's ballistic missiles, there are other projectiles, there's loitering munition, and also drones with a certain level of capability. If you see the wheels on these drones, it surely shows that it was carrying a significant level of payload with the intent of trying to drop and then perhaps head back. Though you can see these. So we have to see the nature, and a lot of these are either Turkey made or China made, these drones. Now these are the houses. Omar Abdullah is there at this residence. Is he coming out? I don't think he's speaking to the media. He's stepping out. These are live visuals coming through. The media is trying to speak with him, but he's not speaking. He's just going to meet the families, and perhaps he'll move away from this location and then speak to the media later on. He's actually tweeted, and he said that he's alarmed at the fact that the international community has allowed this entire, bailout. And I think there is going to be, Zaka, Pallavi is getting us more information that Bharat is going to push for a serious reconsideration of this bailout that's been given to the Pakistanis. This is treachery, and this is deliberate escalation. You said Marco Rubio has dialed General Munir, but the dialing has to go to the IMF. How did they approve this bailout without understanding Pak's intent? Look at what they've done. They're attacking civilian installations, a temple near Jammu. That lady is actually turned around and said, "Bahut ho gaya, Modi ji, ab maro inko." बहुत हो गया. We've shown enough and more of restraint because they don't seem to learn. Omar Abdullah himself is very, very peeved. If you look at it, he's also showing great amount of restraint in his emotions when he's tweeting as a chief minister. He's putting out and saying, look what the Pakistanis are doing and look what the international community has allowed. I think there is a serious dissent and dissonance with the IMF for what they have done in a situation like this. You can't go and give a nation which is actually standing for according state funerals to jihadis and proscribed terrorists. You can't give them a $1.3 billion bailout. And that's what the IMF has gone ahead and done.
All right, we're getting that piece of breaking news now. Top official government sources telling Pallavi Ghosh that India will go back to the International Monetary Fund and ask them to reconsider the bailout that's been given to Pakistan. It's over $1 billion. It's part of the $7 billion tranche, the agreement between the IMF and Pakistan over a 4-year period. India shall use international pressure, diplomatic pressure, to wake the conscience of the IMF. Operation Sindoor is no way for closure. India has not and will not target civilians. The opposite is what Pakistan is doing. Pallavi Ghosh, tell us more. I mean, ultimately, look, if the Americans who have 17% weightage on the IMF board, if they say no, this bailout can be cancelled. But why haven't the Americans said that? And what is India's strategy from here on out?
That's exactly the question which India is asking. Why is it that America said no? Because Donald Trump's earlier statement where he said that we've given $3.3 billion to Pakistan, but we've got nothing out of them. They've done nothing for us. That is something which India is going to use effectively against Americans as well, and make the point to them that you may be one of the largest contributors to the IMF. I know this logic is going around, your money, we use it the way we want to. That's at least how the stakeholders of the IMF were talking about. But the point is that isn't an international organization also to be held accountable? And they also to ensure that the money that they're using and giving out is actually used for a good cause, or at least for the cause what it is meant to. You know, Zaka, if you look at the note which was released by the government of India yesterday in its response to IMF, and the statement which India made at the IMF meeting yesterday was that we leave it to your morality to decide how that money should be given and whether you should give a bailout to Pakistan because they have been an official offender. I think it's this conscience awakening call which is now being taken by the government, and therefore
All
when
right,
they're going to
Pallavi,
go
I'm
back,
sorry to interrupt, but apparently there's some air activity where Akash is. He's in Rehari in Jammu. Akash, yes.
Zaka, I'm showing you the visuals, possibly some air activity. There I'm showing you the clouds there. We have this, okay, we have been asked to go inside because, you know, because there are, in fact, some attempts, there were some attempts, in fact, these attempts have been thwarted. I'm showing you the visuals of the air activities. I'm also, you know, hearing some sort of roar, possibly, you know, of the jets. But there I'm showing you the visuals of the clouds where we have that white smoke. And in fact, we have been told that there is some fresh attempt possibly when CM was here, Zaka.
All right, that seems to be some activity there, some air activity. The reporters have been asked to move inside. These are the remnants of the damaged buildings in Rehari. So these are deferred pictures as well. We'll come back to you, Akash, as and when we can establish some confirmation of what kind of air activity there is. You could hear sirens in the background as well. There you can see an official asking Akash to move in. I believe the three defense chiefs have also reached South Block. There is a high-level meeting going on, and this will continue. This will continue through the day. If you're joining us at 9 o'clock this morning, these are the big headlines. It's been a hot night between India and Pakistan at the line of control at the international border. Let's bring you up to speed with what you should know in this escalating situation between India and Pakistan. Headline number one, Pakistan's Fatah missile that was aimed at Delhi has been intercepted and downed over Haryana. You can see the images there, massive remnants that have been left behind, the wreckage that's been left behind. This is a ballistic missile, 400-kilometer range, was in the direction of Delhi, but it's been intercepted over the skies of Haryana, and you can see it's fallen, the wreckage has fallen in the open fields there in Haryana. The villagers taking those pictures earlier this morning. Headline number two, it's not just in Haryana, in Srinagar, in the Lasjan area, in the outskirts of Srinagar, parts of what is believed to be a Pakistan Air Force jet, which was brought down in a dogfight. That wreckage landed up in the backyard of a residential complex. The individual whose house it was where this wreckage was found, he is of course now speaking with the authorities. He has taken these pictures in what is believed to be the wreckage of a downed Pakistani fighter jet. Headline number three, India has managed to intercept Pakistani drones. These are two sets of images, CCTV images. This is the second set showing the wreckage after the interception happened. This is in the Jammu Narwal sector. The interception happening there. That's the first set of images. The interception happening in the night sky. And then the second set, which shows the destroyed Pakistani drones and the launch pad that was used by Pakistan to launch those drones. So you can see fire and smoke up in the fields in Jammu. Headline number four, a part of a drone has also been found in Amritsar. You had the ADGPI. This part is what was found in rural Amritsar. You can see the fields there, the fields being readied for the next season. You can see the part of the wreckage. That's clear that these are drones in rural Amritsar. The ADGPI also tweeted the drone that was visible in the Amritsar Cant, in the Khasa Cant in Amritsar. That too has been brought down by India's air defense system. Headline number five, a Pakistan projectile has been found in Lasjan in Srinagar. Ishan was there. This is the same area where you saw the wreckage of what is believed to be a Pakistan Air Force jet being brought down after a dogfight. What that is will be established by the authorities. Our Ishan Wani was there reporting from the backyard of that residential complex where which is the point of impact. Headline number six, a bomb-like object was found in a place called Jamla village in Pokhran in rural Rajasthan, in the deserts of Pokhran, Rajasthan. The Indian Army managed to neutralize this drone and missile attack in the sky, and what you're seeing is wreckage of that missile. Headline number seven, Pakistan targeting civilian areas. That's where our Akash Sharma was reporting from in Rehari. Multiple homes have been targeted. There's a temple called the Shambhu Temple in Jammu. That has also been targeted. Overall in Jammu, 5 people, I'm afraid, have died, both in artillery shelling as well as in Pakistani projectiles that have been hitting parts of Jammu overnight in the last 6 or 7 hours. So Jammu seems to be badly affected because of the overnight escalation of projectile, drone and missile attacks from Pakistan into India and India's response. Headline number 8, there are damaged parts of a drone that's been found in the Narsu area in Udhampur. Udhampur, of course, the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Command. We don't know what nature this drone is. You can see the army officials there taking away the remnants of this. This is from Narsu area in Udhampur. Security forces are on the spot. I can report to you there is no damage to the Udhampur air station or any part of the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Command. Headline number 9, amid the escalating attacks by Pakistan, the Indian Army has released a statement. The ADGPI has put out a statement saying that multiple armed drones were spotted flying over the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar. The hostile drones were instantly engaged and destroyed by India's air defense units. Pakistan's blatant attempt to violate the sovereignty and endanger civilians is unacceptable. And headline number 10, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah has reached Rehari, which is the part where the civilian part that's been affected. 3 or 4 homes have been damaged there. There have been 5 casualties in all of Jammu. Omar Abdullah meeting with the victims, meeting with their families there, spending some time with the individuals who were affected, and of course he's now left from there. As we sort of bring you up to speed with what is happening here in the national capital, all 3 service chiefs are at the Ministry of Defence. They're in North Block right now, even as we speak. We're given to understand that further details of what the discussions are will be known as well. Remember, at 10:30, there is going to be the briefing by the Foreign Secretary. If we can have a reporter to try and get a sense of the meeting that they're having right now, and they're likely to meet with the Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh as well in the next few minutes. Arunima is joining us live. Arunima, yes.
Yes, the 3 service chiefs have arrived in South Block. There is a string of briefings and meetings that is going on in South Block at the moment. The situation is now under control. The assessment part is now on. We have seen ADGPI put out details of the munition that has been used in Amritsar, drones which were carrying the munition as their payloads, the way they were taken down, and the details, the markings on the payload, all of that have been put out in the public domain. Assessment of the situation all the way from Udhampur to Jammu and also in Jaisalmer, that's on. There's a high likelihood that Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh could also meet the 3 service chiefs shortly. By afternoon, after the press conference by the Foreign Secretary has ended, there's also a possibility of the Prime Minister being briefed by the National Security Advisor and the Raksha Mantri as well. One thing that one must highlight is that the deliberate misinformation that is going on from Pakistani social media handles, most of them have been blocked by India, but international media is picking up some of those and India is countering them, one of which said that, an Indian Air Force jet has been down. Then another misinformation was that the S-400 missile system has been damaged. All of these being denied officially by Government of India.
No, Arunima, I was just coming to that the PIB needs to fact check things a little faster and perhaps in a little more active manner. They have been doing a fantastic job. But Pakistan's disinformation campaign continues. They are trying to claim that some brigade headquarters has been destroyed and that some bases, they've even named the airfields have been destroyed, etc. They've also said that some storage of missile-based storage has also been destroyed, along with downing of jets. And like you said, some of our air defense systems being destroyed. All of these are not factual. They are all false. But there is a tendency that वो कहते हैं ना अरुणिमा, if I can say that कि जब तक सच खड़ा होकर अपनी बात कहता है, झूठ पूरा शहर घूम के आ जाता है. So that is something which is happening, and this is a massive disinformation campaign that the Pakistanis have tried to launch. And that is something that needs to be countered far more effectively. The PIB is doing a fantastic job, but they need to be a little more quick on the counter.
Yes, and the problem is that even though we are checking and putting out information that has been verified, there are international media houses, since these are Pakistani official handles which are putting out baseless information. There are a lot of international news outlets that are picking up, quoting Pakistani sources. Let me give you a string of disinformation that has happened since early this morning. First, Pakistani media claimed that the Udhampur air base has been damaged. It has been categorically denied by the Indian Air Force and by South Block that none of our air bases have suffered any damage, be it Pathankot, be it Jammu or Udhampur. Next, they said that in Chandigarh, a missile depot has been damaged. Again, something negated by South Block. We just spoke about the S-400 missile system. Pakistan has claimed, and international news outlets have picked this up, that our S-400 missile defense system, our air defense system has been damaged as well. Completely baseless, denied. They have put out old photographs and said that Indian fighter jets have crashed in their operation that began last night post midnight. Again, India has fact-checked, saying this is an old video which is being recirculated. So yes, both the South Bloc and the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting negating the lies of Pakistan.
Right. Thanks for that, Arunima, and I think we'll continue to put that out, and kudos to the PIB. They're working very, very hard. These are times of where war is at multiple levels. Bharat is waging a war on terror, but the Pakistan military and the Pakistan state seems to have unleashed a war against Bharat itself at various levels, and they are very devious. The enemy is very devious. They will use a lot of disinformation, and their aim is to also create and divide Bharatiya people based on communal lines or other lines, and we have to mount a collective effort, a whole of Bharat approach has to be mounted. Let's quickly go across to Siddhant Mishra joining us at this point. Siddhant, Marco Rubio has picked up the phone and spoken to General Munir. What does this indicate? In the meantime, Bharat is also launching a massive non-kinetic counter because it's a diplomatic offense on the IMF bailout. So take us through what's happening on the non-kinetic front. Yes.
Well, as far as non-kinetic front is concerned, Anand, then this morning we received a statement from foreign ministers of G7 countries. In fact, they have condemned Pahalgam terror attack, and in fact, they urge both sides to de-escalate. Perhaps coming to your question, Marco Rubio speaking directly to Asim Munir signifies that US knows who is calling the shots in Pakistan, point number one. Point number two, last time around, Marco Rubio rejected his counterpart, Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, and spoke directly to Shehbaz Sharif. But then US also realized that nothing is going to happen because Shehbaz Sharif is a puppet prime minister. So today they decided to speak directly to Asim Munir. So this message should go out loud and clear to the world that who is running this country. Point number one. Point number two, that there was a surprise visit from Saudi Arabia, Anand. In fact, we were the first one to report that, and the Saudi Deputy Prime Minister met EM S. Jaishankar. In fact, we have also been told that he called on Prime Minister Modi, though there were no photographs released by the Indian side regarding that particular meeting. Yesterday he was in Islamabad. The pictures were released by Shehbaz Sharif's office of him and Asim Munir meeting Saudi envoy, and today Saudi Arabia has confirmed in a statement that they are giving efforts to mediate, mediate so that de-escalation can take place between India and Pakistan. We have also been told, Anand, though I don't have an independent confirmation on this, that it could be that US and Saudi Arabia both are giving joint efforts to de-escalate situation, perhaps putting pressure on Pakistan, Asim Munir and generals of Pakistan to de-escalate and step back. Perhaps this is what I could sense at this point in time, because this morning call to Asim Munir perhaps shows that Marco Rubio must have blasted at Asim Munir for his misadventures and something which has happened in the region which never happened since 1971. What the region witnessed last night. It's all because of Asim Munir. US is very angry, very upset with Army General Asim Munir.
Right. Looks like the international community needs to be made apprised of, and that picture that was shown with Hafiz Abdul Rauf leading the prayers with the Pak military personnel standing right behind, and Pakistan giving state funeral to jihadis and terrorists, and a US proscribed terrorists leading those prayers, perhaps was not seen by the quote-unquote international community that has handed out this $1.3 billion bailout to Pakistan. So, and now there are reports coming through that there is a checkered past of the DG ISPR Ahmad Sharif Chaudhry. It's itself, and somewhere his connections to yet another group of jihadis and terrorists and connections to Osama bin Laden. All this perhaps lost on the international community. Let's hope that the PIB machinery facts check and also puts it out, and the diplomatic machinery puts out these facts to the world to see those who they think are benign have gone ballistic over Bharat with ballistic missiles. So that's what happened. Let's look at this. Pak jets down. Pak jets have been downed. 2 of them in Jammu and Kashmir region, one around in Srinagar, one in North Kashmir. So this is confirmed wreckage that's seen there. We'll get you more details. And let's hope that in that briefing all these details are put out. There is munitions with payload, drones that have been downed, and also in Pokhran there is a missile, a ballistic missile that's been seen. Another ballistic missile that's been noted is here in Sirsa. There are also a drone launch pad on the other side. Jammu international border, Pak military post with tube drones has been a tube drone launch pad that's been negated, and that post was also a launch pad for terrorists, so that's been totally demolished. This is Lasjan, Srinagar. Again, confirmation of projectiles falling and also possible debris of an aircraft that's been downed by the Indian Air Defense System, by our forces. Parts of a drone that's been found. This is a far bigger drone, and this perhaps was also carrying payload. The ADGPI has also confirmed where they've put pictures, a drone-like object found at multiple places, suspected drone hits. There are civilian areas that have been hit by drones. Homes have been destroyed or demolished or have suffered damage. Civilians have died. One lady has died. There is an employee or an administrative officer in the Jammu and Kashmir ministry who's been hurt, who's lost his life. Our salutes to them. There are people, civilians, who are getting injured. There are some damages that have happened to certain military installations. That's what's being claimed, but nothing that is stopping any of the operations. And all claims made by the Pakistani military and Pakistan is nothing but disinformation. All our systems are intact. All our defense mechanisms are intact, and we have given them a bloody nose. That's what we've done. Now, this is another news. A missile-like projectile or object has been found in the village of Samastipur under Adanpur in Jalandhar. Now, the discovery of this missile has caused a certain amount of worry in the locals, but the cops have already reached the spot. Now, you can see the markings. These are Pak markings. These are Pak markings, and this is again at least an 8-10 feet projectile that's been found. Was it carrying what kind of payload it was carrying? We'll have to wait and see. Sometimes there could also be drop tanks of certain aircraft that could be seen. So we have to wait for verification from the ADGPI and from our official sources to see what this is. Yes, Anshul.
So yes, this debris has yet again been found. This time this debris that has been found has actually been found in Jalandhar, but the agencies are at spot. They are trying to figure out as to what could this debris be. But in all likelihood, this is looking like a debris that was actually destroyed by the anti-defense systems of our country, and hence these whatever this missile is or whatever this object is. This object was not able to fulfill its mission to carry out any sort of destruction or carry out any sort of an attack on our territory. This was in fact destroyed by our air defense systems, and now this has fallen. But yes, the initial investigations are underway at this point in time. The debris has now been picked up by the agencies, and now the further testings have started.
Anshul, very quickly, Adampur also happens to be a big Air Force base. Are authorities there, local police there, saying whether that was the target of the attack and it's been intercepted en route?
Well, yes. This is what is being said by the authorities over here, that the Air Force base was being targeted, much like what is happening in places like Udhampur and Pathankot as well, where they are trying to target our Air Force bases. But our air defense systems are very, very active and doing a great job at this point in time, thwarting each and every attempt that is made by the enemy state of Pakistan.
Okay, thanks Anshul for that. So you can add Adampur also to that list. So both Pathankot and Adampur, 2 big Air Force stations that India has in the Northern Command. Both of them have been targeted. Of course, all of these have been reprised as well. So there's been no damage at all. And that's what top IAF sources have told CNN News 18, that there's been no damage at all to any of our aircraft or to our S-400 air defense systems. Siddhant is also there with us. Akash, if we can go across to Akash, he's in Rihari in Jammu. We'll try and go across to him in just a moment. So the big picture, if you're joining us at close to 9:30 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, the 10th of May, it's been a hot night between India and Pakistan. There are multiple missile, drone, even a ballistic missile attack that Pakistan launched on India. India has responded to each one of those. Our air defense systems have busted each of these attacks. And in response, India has taken down 2 or 3 important Pakistani Air Force air stations, including the biggest one in Noor Khan, which used to be called the Chaklala Air Base, one of the biggest that Pakistan has. That's been the attempt, of course, was to try and render the runway useless. Then there is the Murid Air Base just a little further down. And then you have the Surakot Air Base, the Rafiki Air Base in Surakot in southern Punjab. But remember, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation, fake news that's doing the rounds as well. So the PIB, the Press Information Bureau, and their website and their social media handles have put out this. There is a claim by some Pakistani social media handles suggesting that the S-400 air defense systems, which India managed to procure from Russia, there is some disinformation doing the rounds that there's been damage to the S-400 systems. That news is absolutely fake. It's been now put out in the PIB fact check, their website, as well as their social media handles. And maybe we can have one of our anchors from our newsroom on our plasma screen showing that from time to time. So don't believe any of these fake stories, this disinformation, this misinformation. We'll try and get Griha or someone to go up there and show that to us in a second. But I also want to go across to Akash and try and get a sense, Akash. Now, you know, the picture, the meta picture seems to be emerging. I'll come to Rehari in 1 second, but the meta picture, which is what our viewers want to know. Clearly, there have been attempts at some of our forward air bases and air force stations from Udhampur, Srinagar, Pathankot, certainly, even the one in Jalandhar. We will get further information. The pictures that we're showing, it seems like the Udhampur Air Force Station was the target. Of course, it was intercepted. And in response, India has taken down some of these leading frontline Air Force bases of Pakistan. What is the meta picture you're hearing from the Indian Air Force?
Right. So you rightly pointed out some of the Air Force stations, in Avantipur, in fact, Jalandhar and Pathankot as well, were on target. And in fact, Jammu was very much on target. And, these attempts were thwarted. We know that how not only drones, but missiles were fired. And we have been told that India strongly retaliated. And this is the reason why, we had a dogfight where we have a confirmation that dogfight indeed happened in Srinagar. And then the air defense also worked in a similar way. But Zaka, I want to highlight here, the Indian Air Force has officially denied that there is no impact or there is no hit, on S-400, air defense system. And in fact, there are several sort of locations that have been propagated by the Pakistani handles, and all of this information is in fact rebutted by the Indian Armed Forces, because this is very important at this point in time. Though we don't have access to these Pakistani handles, but yes, international media is somewhere picking the information, and the official version from Indian Armed Forces should be carried as well. And that's the reason why Indian Air Force has now come out in public and said that there is no damage or hit to any S-400 battery or the sort of system. Also, as far as these attacks are concerned, so Zaka, their primary target is, of course, the air assets, fighters, and the air defense systems as well. I was discussing it a bit earlier that how they have been targeting. They have, in fact, they want to try, S-400 and Akash missile system. One, they don't know the locations. Second, they want, and this is possibly the reason why they want to target all the, air force stations specifically that are very close to the borders.
Akash, they are masters at disinformation. They are masters at disinformation. The Pakistanis will try anything and everything. To all our viewers, to all those who are getting active on social media, let's do our job responsibly and let's stand up for our country. Let's not push any claim that's being made by any pro-Pakistani or Pakistani handle, because it's disinformation. Look at what our defense systems are capable of. Trust this. This is what, for 4 nights, not a single missile projectile has been able to find its mark. They have all been neutralized. This is a live picture of how our air defense systems, the Indian Armed Forces air defense systems, are neutralizing projectiles, missiles, loitering munitions sent by the Pakistanis. And this is all happening in the air. Listen to this. You can see the projectile trying to travel over the Indian airspace, and there you will see the flares first coming in, which are the distraction, and then the mechanism, how it works, and the entire projectile then being damaged, split into multiple parts, into shreds. It's being torn into shreds on our skies. So these are the fireworks courtesy the Indian Armed Forces. So these are the fireworks courtesy the Indian Armed Forces, and what's being blown to bits is the Pakistani devious intent. So have a look at this. Let's play the nats again. Let's look at the whole sequence. Have a look at the whole sequence.
Of Amritsar drone intercepts that are happening live. This is from early morning, so a couple of hours ago. So we should mention deferred pictures there as well. Tejinder, I believe that there is some anti-terror operation also that's happened in light of what's been happening, the hot situation both along the LC as well as the IB. What information do you have on that as we continue to show these pictures? These are the skies over Amritsar, where there is a live intercept happening of a swarm of drones sent in by Pakistan. This is from a few hours ago on the skies over Amritsar. But Tejinder, yes, go ahead.
Yes, Zaka, there is a massive anti-terror operation that has been launched by our security forces near the international border in Suchetgarh area of Araspura sector, where the locals informed the police that 4 suspected people carrying weapons, wearing salwar kameez, have been seen roaming around some vital military installations in the area. So now a massive operation has been launched by the army, by the BSF and by the Special Operation Group of Jammu and Kashmir police to ascertain who these individuals are and whether they are a threat to us, and if they are, they have to be neutralized. If you remember, Zaka, just yesterday the BSF had said that a major infiltration bid was foiled by them in the Samba sector, wherein 7 intruders belonging to the Jaish-e-Mohammed terror outfit who tried to infiltrate into the Indian territory were shot down. So at a point when our security forces, especially the army, the air force, is engaged with the hostilities from the Pakistan side and giving a befitting response to Pakistan, the sources are telling us that Pakistan has activated its terror network in Jammu and Kashmir and have asked them to carry out certain attacks across Jammu and Kashmir. But the security apparatus in the entire region is on heightened alert, and all such nefarious attempts by the enemy, whether in the hinterland, on the line of control, or from across the line of control, would be foiled. Yes,
all right, Tejinder, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. These are still pictures that we are playing from Amritsar from a short while ago, a few hours ago. This is the early morning pictures. There's been a lot of focus on Amritsar for the last 2 or 3 nights, and the concern there, the worry there is that the Pakistanis might attempt something fishy, something nefarious around the Golden Temple, which is, of course, the holiest site for Sikhs around the world. So far, all their attempts have been thwarted by the Indian air defense systems. But I also want to go across to Griha, who's joining us from the PIB fact-check wall here in our newsrooms. So the PIB handles have been putting out these fact-checks of Chinese propaganda, Pakistani propaganda. The latest seems to be that the S-400 systems have been damaged. That lie has been busted. Griha.
Absolutely. That's the big thing that came out of Pakistan. It has been completely dissed by India. But let me also put across a few of the other fact checks that India has been constantly doing, Zaka. This is the Press Information Bureau. It has, in fact, put out several of these instances, like this one, where there was a claim that was made by a Pakistani handle that an old Indian Air Force crash really had happened. This was a claim that has been dissed by the PIB, where they have gone on to claim that several pro-Pakistan social media accounts are falsely claiming that 3 fighter jets, we're not just talking about one Indian Air Force jet, 3 fighter jets have crashed in different areas in the Himalayan region. But that's been completely dissed, and a claim that this is fake, where the PIB says that this is an old IF crash photo circulated. It has got no link to the India-Pakistan situation. If we also take a look further, Zaka, there was a claim that was being put out through various social media posts asserting that a cyber attack by Pakistan has caused 70% of India's electricity grid to become dysfunctional. Claims that were floated by Pakistani handles. This claim is absolutely fake is what, and these were the tweets, by the way, that the PIB has put out and branded as fake, and this fact check again by the Press Information Bureau. The third one, particularly, and this was the most bizarre one, of course, after the S-400, was social media claims where they said that India was trying to attack the Nankana Sahib Gurdwara. There was a drone attack at that Gurdwara. That also has been completely dissed, and they have claimed that this is a Khalistan propaganda, something that is absolutely fake. So these are the claims, and PIB is completely on their toes. They have been putting out these facts so that nobody falls for these misinformation, the disinformation campaign rather, coming in from that side of the border.
All right, Griha, we'll leave it at that. We'll check in with you from time to time about this massive disinformation campaign that's been undertaken by Pakistani social media handles that, of course, has been busted by the Press Information Bureau social handles as well as their website. I want to go across to Arunima, who's joining us from South Block. Siddhant is also joining us from South Block. There's a meeting, I believe, Arunima, of the three defense chiefs. In the next few minutes, I believe they will be meeting with Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, as well. So tell us, what is the assessment this Saturday morning in South Block as to what was the attempt, the escalation attempt by Pakistan yesterday, how India has retaliated and responded to that, and the damage that's been left behind in Pakistan to the air bases and to certain other locations in Pakistan. Tell us, what are you hearing first thing here Saturday morning?
See, I think it's a cliche now, Zaka, but the dialogue from the Bollywood film Uri is summing up the mood at South Block best. How's the Josh? Hi, sir. You saw the photograph yesterday also when the three service chiefs met Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh. They were in combat uniform but smiling, body language very relaxed. So that's the mood now also, that yes, we have managed to thwart Pakistan's evil designs for 3 nights in a row. We have managed to bring down, that's what we are hearing, even though officially that there's no, perhaps in this press conference, Foreign Secretary will confirm, but we are hearing that there was a dogfight over Srinagar, and there is a local manhunt that has been launched to look for the Pakistani Air Force pilots who possibly ejected when their aircrafts were brought down. Amritsar, ADGPI has put out how Pakistani drones were brought down. They were carrying a payload of munition. The marking on the munition has also been put out, clearly showing what Pakistan's designs were. Overall, the situation across the international border, BSF kept a very close vigil. In Jammu, across the LOC, yes, we have lost 3 lives, including one district level official who was part of the relief and rescue. A shell landed at his own residence and he succumbed to his injuries later. 2 others, civilians, have also lost their lives. So yes, we are paying a price in terms of civilian lives, because Pakistan is focusing on targeting civilian areas, and that the establishment is also